fine.
Greetings.
Hello.
Your Lincoln University background is
It's backward. Yeah, the words are backward.
Is it? Okay, let me flip it. For me, it's
It's right. Right. For us, it's backward, right?
okay. Thank you so much. Let me flip it.
okay, no problem.
Is that better?
No.
No,
Still backward.
Hmm.
Mirror image.
yeah, change the image.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sorry about the snafu with that link.
Okay.
Hello, Bria.
Hi,
Hi, dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. Fine.
I just sent the Zoom link to Ayana.
Say it again.
I just sent the Zoom link to Ayana.
Oh, good. I don't know how it got wrong. Oh. See, KMETW67 says link is invalid for me. Who was that? KMETW67. That sounds like our class. I don't know who that is. Oh, I guess I could ask, who is this? Makes sense. It's a beautiful day today. Oh, nice. Server is not available. What? Oh, it's Kim Winder. Okay. Hi, Ayana.
Hello.
Are you feeling better, dear?
Yes, thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. Wonderful. I wonder if Dr. Button made, oh, here she comes. Good.
Good evening.
Hi, Dr. Button.
Sorry, we had a little screw up there.
Oh, God. I don't know how that happened.
I don't either. That's okay.
I clicked those links, they work fine. I don't know.
So I'm glad that we're all patient. And who are we waiting for? We've got Amber, we've got Ayana, Talana, Tara is here, Bria. Talana is waiting to come. So who is this?
It's Ernest Levis. I told a few alumni.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I'm really nervous about this link here, but this one seemed to work. Now let me go back to my class list and make sure that Talana certainly wants to come and is ready, and the others have the. I've sent them the email. Let me just double check with them.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'll send something to Talana too.
Yes, that would be helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. That's 5858817162338. Okay. So we're missing Keisha, we're missing Abigail. Abigail.
Trying to tell one of our alum, and she keeps saying the one I just sent is invalid. Oh, God. But most of us have made it. Most of us made it.
Missing Abigail, we're missing Keisha and Talana should be here soon. Abigail has been has had some issues getting on campus, and Keisha was there yesterday. Keisha's not quite with us, but she's coming. I mean, she's coming on board to the class. I'm going to work this week, make sure everybody's great. Okay, and what about, is Ayana on board? Is she here?
Alana's on. Yep, she's here.
Ayana.
Ayana. Oh, no, Talana's not, but Ayana is.
All right.
I just sent the link to Talana.
Yes, I did too.
You did too. Okay.
And so, well, we are going to have a wonderful panel tonight. I actually invited people in my English class because I think it's a great idea. And this, we can consider this a dry run because this is a very, very important kind of panel. I think it's an important thing for students to hear from alums.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Now, who is this lovely person who just arrived?
Talana.
Talana. Okay. Talana is here.
Tim is here. That's one of our alums. Okay. Hi, Ernie. I don't know if you can hear us or not, but we see you're with us.
So I think perhaps we should move ahead
Yeah.
because we're recording this meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we should move ahead and we will post this on Canvas. can come when they are able and hear it on Canvas. So, Bria, are you ready to roll?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce this class, and I'm going to let then Bria Wadley is our hostess for the evening. And this is a one-time special that we've developed, and the goal of our meeting is to hear from our recent alums as opposed to from our slightly less recent alum mentors. But we're all the same age and spirit. Now, I wonder if we could introduce our mentors for the class first, and then we'll zoom into our students and former students. Can that work? Does that sound like a good plan? Okay. So why don't we start with Professor Johnson, and we're going to ask the visitors to the class, and today anybody not on the panel is a visitor. So the mentors are considered visitors. So would you introduce yourself, Dr. Johnson?
Hi, Robert Johnson from the class of 1967. And I'm currently living in Minnesota, quite a contrast to the image behind me. But yeah, so I retired from teaching in higher education after, I don't know, between 1969 and 2018. And I've had a lot of experiences in higher education, international affairs, community activism, and I've always been involved with student-centered activities, in good part because of my Lincoln experience and background. That's enough.
That's a good start. And Dr. Levester? Dr. Levester's microphone seems to be off. Okay. Dwight, are you there?
Still connecting with audio.
Okay. So how about Kim Winder? Can you introduce yourself, please? Oh, their microphones are all off.
There she is. I think she's coming. There she's on.
Good evening, late afternoon. My name is Kim Winder. That's
Sorry.
okay. Most people say Winder, and I answer to that as well. I'm actually a graduate from the class of 1990 from Lincoln University. I currently reside in Baltimore County, Maryland, located in Pikesville. And I work for the Department of Juvenile Services. I am categorized as a probation officer, but I work in the Office of the Inspector General Youth Advocacy Division. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Moore, Dwight?
Hello, everybody.
We know you, but we have visitors today who don't know you.
Hi. Oh,
Short
hi.
intro.
Okay. I'm the class of 69. I presently teach at John Jay College, City University of New York, philosophy. What else can I say? I was born in the city of Newark, went to high school in Teaneck, New Jersey. What else can I say? I'm presently, well, so much. Anyway,
You're being a mentor.
I'm mentoring Bria right now, and we're talking about activism at Lincoln University. I ran for politics in the state of Hawaii for state senator. I lost. Let's see. While I was at Lincoln University, as far as activism goes, 1 year, and I think it was 1966 or 67, when we were during the summer, when Africa was called Rhodesia, a country in Africa called Rhodesia, we had students there. And one of the students, we chartered a bus to go to the United Nations to protest Ian Smith, who was the leader of Rhodesia. And it was written up in the New York Times, you know, a small written up. But of course, you all know that Rhodesia was ruled by white supremacists at the time, just like South Africa. But we had Lincoln University students who were from that country who protested. And as far as activism go, in 1964, like I said, I grew up, from 0 to 9th grade in Newark, New Jersey. Then I moved to Teaneck, New Jersey. And in 1964, I was president of the Student Congress of Racial Equality in high school. And in 1964, I was actually at the Atlantic City Convention protesting for the Mississippi Democratic Party. I was 15, some young age, 15 years old, but I was protesting online. While we were online, I met Fannie Lou Hamer. They came to, support us. And of course, James Farmer was there. And later on, I think Rob and I had a course with him. He came to Lincoln to teach. I think Rob was in that class and other Lincoln people. And as far as, when I see things like Black Lives Matter and all these other things that you guys are going through, it reminds me of the things we did back in the day. But no, I don't do any protesting much now. But anyway, that's part of my history. But you'll get to know more about me anyway. And I enjoyed Lincoln. I pledged, so for you guys to let you know how familiar, I pledged Kappa, but I'm not a Kappa, I'm an eternal scroller. I had Bria laughing at how we used to, I know all about that dancing and all that stuff, and we know all about that. So even though I'm older than you, believe me, I can relate. We like to party just like you, Philly dog, all that stuff. We know all about that. I just want you, so don't think that there's a big generation gap. Anyway, and Bria, she was cracking up. Anyway, that's me. We can say more.
Thank you. That's good for starters. That's
Right.
good for starters. Thank you. And Dr. Levister, would you just introduce yourself to the ones who don't know you?
Sure, and thank you very much. And my name is Ernie Levister. I'm a member of the class of 1958. And so that means I'm with you from antiquity. I grew up in a low-rent project in Harlem. I'm the first Black in America to have earned an engineering and liberal arts degree at the same time. I got my AD from Lincoln and chemistry and my BS in chemical engineering from Lafayette in 1958. I'm a physician. My MD is from Howard. Internal medicine, cardiology, multiple faculties of med school and engineering school, and currently retired. And it's a privilege to be from Lincoln, and more so because my forefathers were in the first class, because I'm a descendant of the Amos family.
And you have some family members also attended Lincoln as well.
Yes, my brother Harold attended Lincoln and graduated in 1964.
Yeah.
And then I had members in the first class at Lincoln. My grandfather attended Lincoln and donated the Amos House to the campus. And then I had Dean Hill was a distant cousin, and James Newby and Tommy Newby, who graduated in 57, was a cousin. So I had about 11 relatives, and also Charles Sutton is a cousin, Dr. Sutton.
Yes. And you have a fabulous wife.
I have a fabulous wife. She did not go to Lincoln, but she's visited Lincoln with me many times. My wife is an attorney, and Dr. Buttons knows her very well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming, mentors. And I'm glad, Abigail, that you've been able to finally link up with us. And I think we're ready. So we're ready.
Are we going to introduce Carol?
Oh, Carol, of course. I thought, oh, terribly sorry. Carol, please.
It's quite all right. Carol Black, I'm the class of 67, same as Rob Johnson. We are classmates. I'm from a long line of Lions. I have an uncle who actually taught in the seminary, Dr. G. Lake Imes. My father graduated in the class of 24. I came out class of 67 and my daughter came out in 2014. And others in the family. They're all HBCU grads. I am a former attorney, retired attorney. I am a former educator, and I'm currently working with my husband. I'm now a licensed insurance producer in Delaware. Always an activist. When I was at Lincoln, I was an English major, loved being an English major under Dr. Farrell. You've probably seen his name somewhere, I think. Hopefully you have seen his name. And at Lincoln, I edited the Lion as well as the Lincolnian. And have really, I always say I've never left Lincoln, been very involved in the Alumni Association and in anything that involves helping our students progress and move forward. That's enough for now.
Thank you. I never get tired of stories. Sister Ajua, you're on here, I think. We just Ajua, Miss.
She's coming in now.
We need to just hear from her.
Yeah.
We're getting to the panel. I think.
Ajua, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? She's in the car.
Okay. So
All right.
we can do your introduction a little later.
Okay, fine. Now we have members of our class. We have Talana Moore, who's a senior. Talana, your major. Would you introduce yourself briefly? The class members. Who are the class members in this 412? Talana, you go first. Brief introduction.
Okay. Hi, my name is Talana Moore. I'm a senior criminal justice major, pre-law minor from Long Island, New York.
And Abigail, you're new. Would you just introduce yourself, please? Abigail?
I'm Abigail. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm Abigail Wilson. I'm a senior. My major is sociology, and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
She's learning us. And Ayana, we know you, but
Hi, everyone. My name is Iana Harris. I'm a junior here at Lincoln University, and I'm studying English.
and education.
Yeah, well, the goal is to get my PhD in education, but I'm studying English now.
There we go. Okay. And Bria?
Hi, I'm Bria Wadley. I'm a junior. My major is human services, and I'm from Maryland.
So we have a panel today, and Bria is the researcher, student researcher for the Mellon grant that the university has, and she's working on an article on student activism. She is going to introduce herself. She's our panel chair, and she's helped to coordinate the visit of some fabulous, fabulous students. And I personally want to Amber, Glenn, and also Taylor Clark. And we have a new guest, who Tara Brookins, who is going to talk also. So we have 3 people on the panel, and Bria, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point.
Okay, so before we jump into the questions, I want to give a quick thank you to everyone for joining us and taking time out of your schedule to come and talk to our class. It means a lot. And for our 3 recent graduates, I'd love it if you could please introduce yourself and the work you're doing now. And anyone can go first, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think I'll go first, just to break the ice. My name's Amber. I was a class of 2021. I majored in psychology, and right now I work at an education commission right now. I'm a technical data analyst. I was planning on going to graduate school last year, but I was studying for the GRE at the time, and I also really needed more experience into my continuing education for clinical psychology. So right now, working at a education commission right now, I'm basically a technical data analyst. I know that when I was at Lincoln, a lot of professors basically tried to, influence our minds so we could, learn more about the behavioral sciences aspect. So what I tried to do when trying to find a job, I didn't really want to deal with like any behavioral sciences at this point in my life, but mostly going into grad school. I furthered getting certified in data analytics and research, user experience design, and research experience. And so far, I've just been basically, working on statistical analyses, reviewing literature from my job, and data visualizations. I know that if there are any psychology majors here, we had to use like SPSS. So I use like a lot of machine learning and AI tools for my job. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing right now, just for the meantime, because I'll be starting graduate school in August soon. But I know that Bria, you left some questions here. So you asked, in what ways has Lincoln prepared you for life when you leave? I think that in the ways, like I think that it's being prepared. During Lincoln, we're always like, oh my God, like this nightmare is never gonna end. And but it was sort of like a joy. And I think that the ways that Lincoln has prepared me, it's prepared me for a lot of jobs and interviews and like so many experiences that I have like literally been through once I graduated, so many experiences that I've gone through. I mean, I was very over prepared after I graduated from Lincoln. And so, I thanked a lot of the psychology professors in my major, especially Dr. Dade and Dr. Gaither Hardy, for preparing me for my future, because without them, I wouldn't be advancing myself to this level as to where I am now. So you say, what is something you wish that you had done differently? So I was also a track athlete at Lincoln as well. So I think that one of the things that I would have done differently was to manage my time more, between academia and being an athlete. I think that that was one of my flaws. And I think that even as an athlete, I think that one of our flaws is like that we can succeed in everything in each life that we have, either in academics or being an athlete. But truth is that life is not perfect. And I just wish that maybe that was one thing that I maybe wish that I have done more differently, was to manage my time more wisely. Did you create a plan for working towards your goals? If so, has that been helpful? I think that during my junior year and my senior year, I believe I may have had a plan to work towards my goal. I really did try to implement more plans as to manage my time more, and to becoming a more active student, off campus and off campus as well. How hard is it to find available jobs in your desired work field? I'm gonna be honest, after I graduated in December 2020, because I had some classes with Dr. Button and I had some psychology classes, and I was also studying for the graduate exam as well. I would say it's taken me a long time to find this dream job that I have now. Even though I probably won't have this job for a while, it's taught me so much. It took me about 4 months to find a job. I was, during that time, I knew that the job market was heavily competitive towards, a lot of technical fields. A lot of the, like the employers nowadays and all these technical companies, and they want to see more certifications on your resume. Although that I have graduated with, at Lincoln with a high GPA and a bachelor's in psychology, it was like, okay, like what more can you bring to the table? So I was certified in data analytics in June, and I was certified in Google UX and research experience design. That taught me more technical skills that I can use for the job market. During the pandemic, the job market was pretty competitive when it came to people coming out of college. So I tried to, advance on LinkedIn, make more connections, and just go, just kind of come up, just kind of like to come out of my comfort shell and to, I always had like an interview like every other week. But I always had a really good head on my shoulders. And it was hard because at sometimes I had to deal with rejection. I had to deal with a lot of job offers that weren't, they were protecting me, but, a lot of it was based on seniority and, if you have a master's or a doctor's and, if you didn't go to a prestigious, institution, but it was like I went to Lincoln, which is a prestigious institution, and I learned a lot. And I have been with a lot of high value professors. So I had to make my name known. But it was pretty hard, but I still kept pushing. And I'm grateful that God put me in this position now where I'm in a very good place right now. In your opinion, what is the most important key to success? I would say I would say a couple. Some important keys to success are for right now, and I said especially to current students who will be graduating from Lincoln, is to definitely keep your head up. This is not going to be the first road that you're going to cross. There are going to be a lot of roads. And I know that, I'm still young and I'm still getting my belts in and I'm still getting more experience. Life is going to knock you down, but you're going to have to get back up and you're going to have to keep pushing. This is not the first stage of your life and there's going to be so many more. I know that because then after this is graduate school and I still have to keep pushing. But also I would just say also to step out of your comfort zone and always like keep a smile on your face every single day. Because, during the pandemic it was pretty hard for me pushing, studying for the grad exam, then finding a job. I had to kind of like get my mental health together, and mental health is important, but just to always be a student first and like always educate yourself on things that you may not know but just to keep pushing. I hope I didn't take any time, Dr. Button. But yeah, that's all I have. But thank you for these really good questions, Bria.
Oh, thank you. That was so sweet. I do have a follow-up question though. So you mentioned how to like step out of your comfort zone, and that's like something I struggle with sometimes, like with doing, like I tend to stay right where I'm comfortable. What is like some advice you can give on how to do that?
How to stay out of your comfort zone? I would just say like, just do it, just jump. And it's just like, the more you second guess about it, it's like, you're gonna have fear. And honestly, like I was so like, I think that one of the most fearful things this year was getting a job. Like that was like the hardest jump that I ever had to take, like after graduating and studying for the grad exam. Like it was just like a huge jump that I had to make. And I just like didn't second guess it. And, I was just do it.
Bria, how would you like to handle questions? I have a question for Amber. Matt, would you like us to put our
anybody can ask me a question?
Amber, would you like to share? I think it would be an encouragement to everyone here if you would share the first job you got, what you did.
The first job. Okay, so is it like my first internship when I was a freshman, or my first job, like when I got out of Lincoln?
The one that you had before you have the one you have now.
Okay. So I worked at an assessment tool company, and I was basically like, I was a grader, and it was like coming off like the hot oven. Like I was just like fresh off the oven. Like I was prepared to like work. And I worked at this grading company, and we assessed a lot of statewide exams, and it was like on like a 40-hour-a-week basis. But yeah, I later had to quit that job because it was very degrading towards women, and it was a very toxic workplace.
You read students' writing, is that correct?
Yeah, I basically graded like 10-page essays. I peer reviewed, I parsed a lot of papers. It was a lot. It was a lot. But the experience, it was a good experience, but I graded a lot of papers, Dr. Button.
Amber, I'm sorry to hear about your workplace hassles, and hopefully you'll have a more positive and reinforcing work environment going forward. You mentioned you're working for an education council, education commission at this point.
Yes.
You didn't say where. Is that at the state level or
Yeah, so
local?
yeah, so this is the city level. I work with so a part of being a data analyst at my company, I also contact so I work with a lot of international physicians, doctors, you name it. And they come from international countries like Argentina, Germany, Ethiopia, India. I work with all of them. And we basically contact their official governments, and we sort of have to verify their documents so they can be able to practice medicine in the United States. So that's basically like the basis of my job. But yeah, it's like a wide variety of a lot of work that we do, but mostly we try to make sure that doctors can be able to practice in the United States. I know that if you guys have been looking on the news, we've been having a lot of international crisis when it's coming down to Ukraine and Afghanistan and Pakistan. And so a lot of that also falls back on our company as well. So we have been really trying hard enough to sort of get the physicians and the doctors to make sure that they're safe and that their documentation is approved to make sure that they're able to practice medicine here.
And where are you based at?
We're based in University City on Market Street in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
And you have a mentor, I think. Could you speak to the importance of having a mentor, please?
Yes. So throughout Lincoln, and I know that Dr. Button knows this because I always repeat it to her, but the most important aspect of being at Lincoln is always having a mentor. Being at Lincoln, every year I always had a mentor and somebody to always ask for advice and ask for questions. I think that one of the most important things about me being a mentor is that the knowledge that they give you is not for it to be taken in, but it's for you to implement the words that they say. And I think that's the greatest joy about having a mentor.
And you have one now, I understand, at your workplace. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my supervisor, Eliane Hobika, I never thought that throughout all of my internships and positions that I've been in, I've never had an active mentor at a workplace. I had never have. So my supervisor has really taken me under her wing and showing me a lot of practices and showing me so many training phases that I know that I've been in this job for almost August, but like I'm still getting training from her and from other departments. But yeah, so me and my supervisor, we're very close, and we always have one-on-ones and whatever I'm struggling with. Because one of the things that I appreciate about this company was that it was all inclusive, and they really care about women and their rights, and to make sure that that there's no discrimination and no disrespect, and that everyone's held accountable. And that's what I really like about my supervisor / mentor in this company.
Thank you, Amber. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Taylor or Tara, one of you guys can go next.
I have a question for you, Bria. Are you going to ask the question and everybody answer, or you just want everybody to answer all the questions at once?
You can go down the list and just answer them like how Amber did.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Taylor Clark. I'm a class of 2021. While at Lincoln, I was in English and political science on a pre-law track. On campus, I did a whole lot. I was the president of the English Honor Society. I was student senate. I sat as a justice on the student conduct board. Yes, just some. I don't really remember everything. Right now, I'm a law student at Penn State Law. And right now I'm focusing on criminal justice. Not criminal justice. I'm focusing on criminal defense and juvenile justice. In what ways have Lincoln prepared you for life when you leave? I can say at Lincoln, you learn your own way of learning. And I think that's what it is. When you go to Lincoln and say a professor is like the way they teach now is not how you're learning. You learn the ways to teach yourself it. That's what I would say. So like right now, I'm in a contracts class right now, and I have no idea what's going on in my class, but it's just the professor's teaching. Literally, it's like the way he teaches the class isn't helping me in any way. But the way that Lincoln prepared me, I'm able to teach myself in other methods that I learned throughout my time at Lincoln. What is something you wish that you had done differently? I wish I would have networked more at Lincoln, as in professors wise, because I say like now, thinking back at what I was at Lincoln, it was a lot of like attorneys that were professors at Lincoln that I wish I would have had connected with. So on a more personal level. So I would say make sure that I would have networked way more. Did you create a plan for working towards your goals? Definitely the 4-year plan that we did. I was a peer mentor for 3 years. So definitely the 4-year plan that we did freshman year. Another plan I did was when I set goals, I made sure I stuck to them. So like one of them was making sure that I study for my LSAT, for example. Like just make sure you set goals that you are willing to stick for and not give up on. How hard is it to find available jobs? Well, everybody needs an attorney nowadays, but being African American in the legal field really is lacking. Diversity is lacking in the legal field right now. But there's a lot of places are reaching out to make their like firms and organizations more diverse. So it's getting there. So I think that the availability for diversity is there. And in your opinion, what's the most important key to success? I would say the most important key to success would be never to not give up on your goals, because there was plenty of times like I didn't think I would even be in law school right now, especially like studying for the LSAT. Like it was times that I wanted to give up and think like, what other career path would I be interested in? But it was like at the end of the day, I knew that I wanted to go to law school. It was nothing else I wanted to do. So it was like, just stick to your goals and keep pushing.
I think Talana is a criminal justice major. So like, do you have any words of encouragement for her?
I would say go all in. And I know that at times, especially like, I know you're a senior, so you're probably studying for the LSAT, and it's going to be times that you want to give up, literally want to give up, but it's all going to be worth it. And don't let any score make you discourage you, because a score doesn't matter. It's only one part. Like your grades is only one part. They look at a whole thing, literally, because literally my 1L, even like my 1L year, I mean, my first semester 1L, really, it was a time where I was like, I think I'm gonna take a semester off and like really rethink if law school is really what I want to be. But then I was surprised on like the internships I got into just from my first semester. My first semester wasn't all that great. I can admit it wasn't all that great, but people kept telling me that it's not just about scores, it's the whole package deal. So I would say just don't let anything discourage you or ever make you think that you're not good enough to go to law school.
I just have to say, Taylor, how proud we are of you. You are just a model perseverer, and you are very inspiring, and I can't wait to hear more from you every year. Thank you for coming. Any other questions for Taylor?
Taylor, I was going to ask.
Hello, Taylor. What was your major?
English and political science.
Right. And I want to say that a lot of people think that they can major in, I don't know, criminal justice major seems to be very popular, but you can major in English, history, political science, sociology, and go to law school. And also as a philosophy professor, and then I teach at John Jay City University, you need to take logic, critical thinking skills. That's very important. for you would-be lawyers, knowing different ways to argue. So at Lincoln, I know when I was there, a lot of students major in criminal justice, but you can major in history, English, French, anything, and go to law school. Just bone up on your critical thinking skills. That's all I wanted to say.
I wanted to say also, after you said that, was I knew I wanted to go to law school before I started undergrad, but I just didn't know what to major in. But a lot of people say you need a lot of writing, you need a lot of be able to analyze. And now that I'm in law school, I knew I should have majored in philosophy, because a lot of things is theory based. So it's like, what do you think? What did you get from it? So it was like, I wish I would have majored in philosophy when I was an undergrad, because it would have came together more. Mm-hmm.
Right. In fact, this is a push for philosophy. In fact, people who major in philosophy score highest on the LSATs in general.
I believe it.
And Taylor, let me give you a piece of advice too. First of all, have you studied the withered hand yet in contracts?
No.
Okay, all right. Let me encourage you, if you don't already have it, a set of bar exam books, because it's then that you really learn the law that they're trying to teach you in law school. Contract is a tough class. I don't think I understood it either. And the professor came in every day and we were all scratching our heads. But pick up the bar exam on contracts. Everything you need to know is there. And particularly for the exam, I'm assuming they give you an essay, one exam at the end of the year. Right. But get that. And also it helps to go read the full case, not just what's in the case book. Go to the, well, now you don't have to go to the library. I guess you can pull up Lexis and you can read the full case. That's always a big help.
Okay, if no one has any more questions for Taylor, I'd like to move on to our last speaker, Tara. So Tara, could you introduce yourself and then you can go down the questions.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. My name is Tara Brookins. I graduated from Lincoln, class of 2020, and I currently work back at the university. I am an area coordinator for the Office of Residence Life at Lincoln right now. I oversee 3 buildings, Laney, Rendell, and McCully. So I have all female building and then 2 mixed buildings, and one of them's a transfer building. And as on top of working as an area coordinator, I also advise 5 or 6 student organizations, including Student Government Association. I serve as a advisor on the judicial board, and I am working on going back to school to get my master's in human services. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. A little bit about me. In what ways has Lincoln prepared me for life or when you leave Lincoln? I think just a lot of personal and professional development. I graduated in Lincoln with my bachelor's of arts in biology and a minor in Spanish. So pretty different from what I'm currently doing right now. Nothing really biology related. But Lincoln has prepared me first and foremost with more confidence in what I'm doing. I feel like I grew a lot as a person. And like personal development and then professional development. There is just so many opportunities on this campus for professional development, and not even just through internships and through classes and everything, but just through organizations. I was a member of at least 15 different organizations while I was on campus. I joined a sorority. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Zeta Omega chapter on campus. I was the president of over 5 different organizations while on campus, including the Sustainability Club. I was a founding member of Spectrum, the LGBTQA organization. I was on the soccer team. There's just so many different opportunities to join, not even just like sororities and sports, but just clubs and organizations for whatever you're interested in. And then I learned how to be a professional, honestly, through my organizations. I was a senior class president. And so I had to work administratively as a student. So it prepared me to graduate and keep that level of professionalism amongst my peers while I was a student. So I've been able to transfer that skill in my current position. And I guess the last way Lincoln has helped prepare me is connections. Connections are everything. They're not the only thing, but they are everything. Who you know and how you know them and how they know you means so much, and how you present yourself, it means everything. Like I said, I was a biology major. I wasn't like, my plan wasn't to, work in residence life and be an area coordinator, but through connections and because of an opportunity that presented itself, I arrived here and I could not be happier in what I do right now. Something that I wish I had done differently, I wish I had done more internships. I'd had one internship my junior year, the summer of my junior year. And as a biology major, it was a little difficult because the coursework itself was so rigorous that I kind of only had the summers. And sometimes I just wanted the summer to myself. I didn't want to have to be a student or do work that was school related. But again, with the connections and even just the experience, even if it's not an internship in something that you necessarily want to do for the rest of your life, even just gaining that professional experience and getting paid to do it and it applying back to school is so important. I wish I had done more of them. And then what else wish I had done differently? Prioritize my mental health. I really, really hope and pray that you guys are doing so. And if not, you find ways to do so. School is a lot, working is a lot, just being a person is a lot. And especially now through year 2 of a pandemic and having to be a professional and do academics and all of that, prioritizing your mental health is so, so important. And sometimes it gets lost behind, assignments and deadlines and everything. But if you're not taking care of you, you can't take care of everything else you have to do. And I wish I had done that a little bit more. I was very heavily involved, but because of so, I was giving a lot of myself to everything else and not me. And lastly, I feel like I wish I worried less about graduating in 4 years. Not that that's not important, but there was a lot of other opportunities I could have taken if I had stayed a little longer. And I'm happy that I was able to fulfill all of my graduation requirements in 4 years, but I had 2 other minors that I was working on that I didn't get to complete at the time by graduation. Graduating in 4 years isn't everything. I graduated in a pandemic and I didn't get my last semester on campus like I was supposed to. So it wouldn't have really mattered in the grand scheme of things if I had stayed at Lincoln for another semester or another year to complete those requirements in a less stressed manner as I did. Did I create a plan for working towards my goals? If so, has it been helpful? Yes. I typically try and keep my ideas and my plans and goals written down. I write things down a lot because that helps me stay organized. But some advice that I would say is that I write down my goals and my plans, but they're a guide, not a mandate. So like I said, I was a biology major. I work now as an area coordinator. Could not be more different. But this job opportunity was one that I didn't want to turn down. It did not have anything to do with my original 4-year plan and all the goals that I had lined up. But in taking this position, it has set me up for so much more in life and so much more professionally and personally. So your goals, you can always keep them in mind and you should always have a plan of what you would like to do, but don't think that everything that you do has to stick to the plan, because life has twists and turns at all points in times. And sometimes an opportunity might pop up that works out better for you than you originally thought. And you might be in a better position than you ever planned. So is it hard to find available jobs in my desired work field? My long-term goal is to get into environmental justice and sustainability in an administrative level. Is it hard to find jobs in my work field? After graduating with a biology degree, it was extremely difficult to try and find something that I could do immediately from graduating. I got hired in August of 2021 and I graduated May of 2020. So for that year and a half, not a singular job, and currently not a job of mine is biology related, but in that year and a half, I was bouncing between jobs. I was a nanny, I was a babysitter, I worked at ShopRite, I was embroidering. It was difficult for me to find a job directly in a biology and environmental science field. But what I learned was that you kind of need to do a lot of research and you need to know. So I like biology, but I needed to find, what does that mean? What do I want to do with that degree? What do I want to do with biology? Biology is very broad. You can be a doctor, you can be a scientist, you can do research, you can do environmental science. There's so many different opportunities. So you kind of need to figure out what you want to do specifically in your field before you start looking for jobs, because if I just type in biology job, I can get 5,000 answers and none of them may not apply to me. You kind of need to figure out what you want to do specifically to figure out, you know, to find the availability in your area and in your field. And then in my opinion, what's the most important key to success? Determination, definitely. That year and a half where I wasn't in a career path was very difficult because I just kind of felt like I was doing a bunch of different things and like they weren't jobs that were going to further me and my life and my professional goals. So staying determined is definitely the most important because what is for you will come to you when it's your time. You just need to be patient and also being flexible. This job that I took was completely out of my comfort zone, out of anything I've necessarily done before. And it has now been the best job I've ever had. I'm learning so many professional skills, administrative duties, I'm advising, I'm on a judicial board, I'm doing so many different tasks and things that I would have never gotten the experience to do. And I'm going back to get my master's in human services, but I would have probably never have thought to even change career paths, change plans and ideas had I not stepped out of my comfort zone and took this job that was far from what I originally planned. So I would say be flexible and stay determined. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I think I have like 2 questions. Okay, so I'm a human services major. So when you said that you want to like go into human services, I got so excited. So I think I missed the part where you said like what your long-term like dream career was. Did it have something to do with human services or was that with biology?
Kind of. So I know that right now human services is definitely going to help me as an area coordinator because I was a biology major. A lot of my current job is, working with students and helping mentor and all that kind of stuff. And not that that's not something I can do, but it's not something I was trained and have worked on. So I wanted to work on a degree that will help me work better with people and better be able to serve people. And my long-term goal has always been changing. But I definitely want to, it has always stayed the same in the sense that I want to help people and that I really want to work with young adults, which is why human services felt like it kind of made a lot of sense for me since I'm in a position right now where I work with young adults and let me read this, where I work with young adults and I'm trying to get better at what I do and to be able to serve the students better. So human services kind of felt like it aligned with me. And I don't have a traditional goal of like counseling or like, anything like that. But I just kind of felt like it was going to help me in my short term and my long term, job goals, whatever they might end up being.
Okay. And then my last question before I give it to anybody else. Sorry, Dr. Button. You said that you were involved in like multiple organizations and things. Like, how is your time management skill? Like, or did you already have like great time management or like did it test your skill in that?
It definitely tested my skills because I've always been someone who keeps a very, very busy schedule. I was like that in high school. I was like that when I got to college. So I was used to having to manage things, but I wasn't used to the level that it gets to in college, especially when committing to so many different things. So like I said, I write a lot of stuff down. I keep a planner, I keep like a notebook, and I keep a big like poster on my walls at all times. I do calendar alerts. I have to keep organized because the only way to be so involved is to be organized and to be flexible, because in being so involved, you're giving a lot of yourself up. So you have to remember to stay organized in all of that, and then remember to schedule times for yourself. So like I'm in the office right now and we're here, and this was something that I had to plan in and it worked for my schedule. So I'm here. And as soon as I'm off of this, I have to plan time for myself. So I'm going to set aside at least like a 2-hour break where I'm not dealing with any, emails, any student concerns. I'll get to them when I can, but I have to worry about me because I can't help anyone if I'm not, I didn't eat dinner tonight. I can't help somebody figure something out if I'm starving, running, errands and stuff. So staying organized is everything that has helped me the most. But yeah, I've always kind of been a highly involved person.
Dr. Button, you can ask your question now.
Tara, thank you for coming tonight. Quick notice. I was wondering, as a student at Lincoln and now as a professional at Lincoln, that probably gives you some perspective. But what differences have you noticed in the student population as a result of the pandemic? Can you make any observations in that respect?
So I noticed with a lot of students, there's just been a lot of like adjusting and like having to do constant adjustments, constantly being flexible. A lot of students have never been students before. Well, at least not college students, not on campus college students. And some of them were thrown into being upperclassmen and being expected to know how the rules and responsibilities of campus work after never having even stepped foot on a campus. Some of them graduated high school in the pandemic at home, and then now they're sophomores, juniors, and are being told, that they're supposed to know, not only the policies and the rules, but the social rules and the social standings of all the freedom of college. So, and that's on top of the academic responsibilities that have, vastly changed. A lot of stuff is still hybrid, but a lot of people haven't been in-person students in years. So I feel like the biggest difference is people have had to be extremely flexible and bend in ways that they've never needed to or known how to, and then also adjust to the freedom of being a college student, but also the rules and responsibilities that go along with it in a setting that they've never experienced before. Whereas like I came in my freshman year, I was here all 4 years. My last semester got cut off, but I got to be a freshman, make freshman mistakes, be a sophomore, grow from them, be a junior, be an upperclassman, and then be a senior and have built up my resume with, all the orgs and, accomplishments that I did. A lot of students haven't gotten that, that same opportunity of that path.
Thank you. Yeah.
I have an observation and maybe a question. When the panelists were asked what were some things that they wished that they had done that they didn't take advantage of at Lincoln, and no one, why does it always happen? People get on and the phone start ringing. But no one mentioned the opportunity to study abroad. And I know I was at Lincoln a few years ago to consult with some of the faculty members there about the study abroad programs. And there were some very good education abroad programs and some faculty members who were very keen on providing those opportunities to students. Are those still in place now? I know the pandemic has affected travel. I've been, as I mentioned before, at the last session that we were at, I've been an avid world traveler from the time I left Lincoln. I was like not even a month out of Lincoln before I went on my first plane trip to Paris, France from New York. And that was due to Lincoln faculty and other people helping me do that. But from that time up until 2019-20, it was like, it wasn't more than a couple of months that I was not on a plane going abroad or traveling domestically. And as I mentioned before, it's been 2 years now, almost 2 years to the date that I've been on a plane. So this is, to be grounded is something different for me, but productive. So pandemic times doesn't allow for the travel experience, especially for school programs. But does Lincoln still have that presence? We had an international presence with students from different parts of the world. Dwight mentioned how he was involved with some student protest movements and things of that sort. As the pandemic eases off, hopefully it will end. What is the likelihood of these opportunities being available to Lincoln students and even Lincoln graduates? The opportunity to travel abroad and to be involved in international studies and affairs.
So we have a good number of international students. So I have, I think in my complex alone, like 20 international students. Mind you, I work between 3 different buildings, so that's across 3 buildings, but I have 20 international students. And I'm not entirely sure about the amount of abroad opportunities, but there definitely are some. And that is definitely, I forgot to mention it, but that was one thing I wish I had done differently. I was a Spanish minor. My plan was to be a Spanish major, but being a biology major, that was my primary goal. And it just was never feasible to take a semester off to study abroad for Spanish when I had a full semester of biology to graduate with, which is why I wish I had, like I said, that 4-year plan. You know, I didn't have to stick to it. I stuck to it because I wanted to, but had I chosen to take a semester or so off and stayed an extra semester longer, I could have studied abroad. And I really think that would have been amazing. I definitely hope Lincoln has more opportunities for, like you said, like recent graduates and stuff like that, who have, you know, degrees and they're looking to do more outreach and they just need like scholarships and opportunities. Because I would have absolutely loved to travel abroad and study abroad after graduating and while at school. But I know there definitely are still opportunities for undergrads. They're just obviously a little more regulated just because of the travel restrictions, but there are opportunities still.
And let me just say to the recent graduates and the to-be graduates, many times your graduate and professional programs also have international components to them. So you can also explore education abroad opportunities and even career possibilities, international career possibilities as an undergraduate or as a graduate or professional student. And then in the workplace as well.
I'd like to add to that Dr. Diabetti's Office of International Study is very active and has regular programs promoting studying abroad even now. But the other thing that I think, and maybe Bria, you could speak to this, those of you in linguistics last semester heard from one of our Fulbright students. We always have 3 to 4 Fulbright scholars from around the world, and they make them for tutoring. They teach the language programs. And I think in the pandemic, they have been a wonderful resource, an underutilized access to international thinking, living, personalities, even movies. They have a film series now that brings in movies from other countries, Uruguay, France, and so forth. So there's an attempt to maintain a global consciousness on campus. I think that would be a safe thing to say. But in terms of actual programming, I don't know when they're going to resume that. It could well be for next year, actually. But I have great respect for the people running the International Studies Office.
So if no one has any more questions for Tara, I'd like to give it back to Dr. Button or Kara Black.
So why don't we turn to our students, Ayana, Talana, Abigail, and ask if today's panel has touched your thinking or impacted your thoughts about how you're going to handle these last few semesters before you graduate. Like what's your takeaway from today, basically? Ayana, can you start? You're quick on your feet. Let's hear from you.
I really just want to thank everyone that came out. And I know that it's very busy for everybody right now, but I think that you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us, I am grateful for that. I think that what I've learned the most, what I've learned and heard the most is mental health and time management. They're both 2 skills that I want to work more upon as I get active on campus. I appreciate what you had to say, Tara, because I know that like when you were here at Lincoln, I used to see you doing everything. So I really appreciate you saying that, like giving tips about like writing everything down and keeping a whiteboard, keeping a journal. That really helps me. So I think I'm going to buy a huge whiteboard so that I can have one in my room just to keep myself more organized and so that I don't feel scatterbrained. So I think that I really appreciate that advice. So thank you.
Good. Abigail?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you doing? What is your takeaway from today? I know you're a newcomer, but I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yes, I agreed with, I think it was Kara that said she wished she would have not so much as followed the 4-year plan. That really hit for me because this is technically my 5th year. I didn't exactly follow the 4-year plan either. So I feel like for me, it's very important to always encourage yourself and remember what your long-term goals are so that when things don't go just as planned as you want, you still keep in mind of what your goal is. And as long as you're going to achieve those goals, that's very important. So I agreed with what she said on that.
Yes. Yes, that's a good takeaway, Abigail. I appreciate your thoughts on that. How about Talana?
So I really appreciate you guys speaking today. Tara and Amber, I really like how you talked about the difficulty of finding a job because that's definitely a fear of mine. And Tara, you're my AC and you're doing a really good job. I wanted to tell you that. And Taylor, what you're doing is pretty much exactly what I want to do. So I appreciate your advice and everything, but I really thank y'all for taking the time out speaking today.
Okay, any further thoughts from anyone? Any of our guests? Any thoughts? Any further thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to share an observation, maybe ask a question through the observation. I'm glad that this panel connected with the current students and the recent graduates and the current students, and I guess there's some overlap in your tenure at Lincoln. I offered this invitation that Carol sent to us to participate as alumni to a fellow alum from the class of '69. And he said that he's already active with another group at Lincoln trying to prepare students for the job market. He's an economist by training and profession. And he said he's working with some other alum and some people at the university trying to get students to understand the necessities of the job market today. And what occurred to me was that, Dr. Levester was on with us. His brother was in our cohort at Lincoln, Carol and I. He was there as one of our seniors. And we were connected with the class of the 1950s, and Dwight, we overlap and we go into the 1970s. So my question is, to what extent are intergenerational classes interacting with each other? Because we got a lot of feedback, mostly in informal kinds of settings, from our schoolmates who are ahead of us, the alumni who graduated, 4, 5, 10 years before us, sometimes even longer. But that was more through informal channels, but it was there. And it makes for a very strong connection because, we know each other, we know each other's families and things of that sort. How much of that is in place now with the current generation of students and recent alum?
A hard question.
I would say, if I'm answering your question correctly, I could say I'm one of the 3 African-American people in my class, literally. Like, I'm the minority at the school I'm at now, which I'm not used to because I went to a HBCU. And before that, I came from a school where it was predominantly Black people. So this is my first time being a minority ever. And honestly, I would say like the connection, it's different, but I think it's more of a learning thing in a way, because I'm learning things that I never even took into perspective. So if I'm answering your question as in for like connection in the classroom with other races and that kind, it's overall it's right now, like I'm learning, like I'm in constitutional law, and it's a lot of, it could be tension sometimes because it's like we're talking about the Constitution and what it meant and how African Americans would have thought it meant and how other races thought it meant. So it can be conflicting at times, but overall, it's a learning base.
Yeah, my question has to do with, could you have benefited from other recent Lincoln graduates who went to law school? Carol gave you a bunch of advice, and she probably has a lot more to advise you. But a lot of times we got mentoring, so to speak, or informed about things based on people leaving Lincoln, going to wherever, graduate school, professional school, medical school, the workplace, coming back to Lincoln through fraternities, homecoming, graduation, and so forth, and would impart, and even as invited guests and speakers, and would impart certain knowledge or certain experience or certain information to us so that we had a better sense or some sense of what to expect once we got out. So it sounds like you stepped out of Lincoln and stepped into an environment that many of us step into once we finish Lincoln, and you have to navigate on your own. But so my question is, to what extent are there these channels, informal or formal, to connect Lincoln graduates and Lincoln students today? Yeah. So anyway, that's the question.
So LinkedIn is a website that I use a lot. And anybody can have a LinkedIn profile. And I connect with a lot of Lincoln graduates or Lincoln students. I try my network on LinkedIn is mostly from people from Lincoln because it's one of the best connections that we have and one of the most personal ones. I'm a part of the Alumni Association as a recent graduate. But I think there's definitely a struggle, a disconnect, especially with the two most recent graduating classes, because we graduated through a pandemic in terms of outreach, because the university did the best that it could in terms of navigating through the pandemic and helping us graduate in it. But there just is a disconnect because we weren't, afforded the same opportunities that every other class before us was. So there definitely is some sort of disconnect, and it's a lot on the recent graduates to reach out to people. So LinkedIn is a way that I have done so, and then through social media a lot. But it's had to become a lot of virtual connections, which has made it difficult because if you didn't already have that connection, you kind of have to figure out how to search it. But I can definitely say that older alum and older graduates have been very receptive and helpful in terms of when you reach out to them. If explain, I was a Lincoln graduate, that automatically they want to see how they can help you. It's how I found this job. Honestly, I got this job position as a recommendation from a recent graduate. So the connections definitely are there, but you kind of have to seek them out. And I'm hoping that as things get better, it's a little bit easier for recent grads to connect with older alum.
Right. Well, could I say, well, first of all, it's a different time period. Another factor is that Lincoln was smaller then. And like Rob said and Carol, we kind of knew each other. We're in different generation, different time. Even as soon as you mentioned LinkedIn, right away I said, oh, right away, that points how times have changed. But here's the good thing. You always have to think about solutions. You have a problem, the solution. Right now, historically Black colleges are coming out. They're more popular now. This meeting here did not happen 10 years ago. What we're doing here is actually new. So what Rob is saying, I think is very important. And I think this is probably the beginning of reconnecting like we did before. So I think what Rob was saying is important, and you lack that. But now that we're conscious of it, we can now try to find a solution to come together. And I got one question. Where are the men? I don't hear nothing. That's all right. You don't have to answer that, but that's another question another time.
Well, Dwight, we invited Jabir McKnight, who is our...
I believe you. Go ahead.
No, we did invite a fellow to come. He wasn't able to, at the last minute, to be on our panel, but we did have one guy. But you're absolutely right. We've been short on men in this class. Well, but I do want to say that one of the special topics courses that we had before Carol and I got together on this one was something called Narrative 4. And narrative 4 was a way to bridge this intergenerational gap that wasn't with alumni. And Nazira Purnell was a star performer in that class, and she was a strong advocate for linking older people with younger people. And is Amber still alive and well on this meeting?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, she's here.
Say a word about narrative 4. Were you actually a participant in some of the projects that narrative 4 did?
I was, and I think that we would give all of our thanks and contribution to Nazira, because if it wasn't for Nazira, narrative 4 would not have been created. But it was, yes, like you said, it was to basically bridge the gap, and it was a much needed activity.
Okay, so it was intergenerational and it was relational, and you learned from older people. They weren't alums, but it was a enriching experience. Was that true? Would you say?
Correct. Yes.
Well, I think we could probably do a lot better in that area, but I think it seems like there are several initiatives, and the Lion Speak is one of the best. I mean, we can take advantage of that better, I think, at Lincoln. Okay, so any other comments or questions before I make closing remarks?
Everybody else shared what they learned from our 3 guest speakers, so, and I didn't get to, so I'll go like really fast. Amber basically answered all my questions about what work life would be like outside of Lincoln, and it kind of took my anxiety away, because that's what I feared the most. Taylor helped give me like some kind of encouragement, like, girl, do it, like, because I have a habit of just like being scared, and like I occupy my time like being scared instead of actually doing what I'm supposed to. By the time I do, it's too late. So thank you. And then Tara, the one I can relate to the most with the human services and stuff like that, I will definitely email you. And then like you just help, because like I feel like with me, like I have this thing where I have to do everything a certain way instead of like, you know, like going with the flow and stuff like that. So you kind of gave me like words of encouragement. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, all of you, for coming, mentors, mentees, and so forth. Ladies in the class, you know what your job is for Monday. We're going to complete the bio sketches, which is more exposure to our Lincoln alum population. And we'll see the mentors again next Wednesday. I'm not sure, Carol, could you help me with the presenter on Wednesday?
Oh, gosh. You know what? I'm having a lapse here, but I probably could tell you in a minute here.
Yeah, Dr. Bill Morgan.
Oh, okay, right. From the class of 68.
You're right.
The epidemiologist. He has just returned, as a matter of fact, from Sierra Leone. He was there. He's from Sierra Leone. We knew him well as an undergrad. He happened to return this time, a sad occasion. Somebody in his family passed away, but he's looking forward to being with you. He will bring the African roots, and I understand that's what your theme is next week. So we're looking forward to that.
Okay. All right. So have a great week, and I'll be in touch with all of you. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Button.
Bye.
Bye-bye.